Hello, friends. Welcome back to yet another episode of Career Conversations. And thank you so much for watching these episodes and listening to my podcast. That was really encouraging. Now, I'm back with an interesting experience and I'd like to share with you. This is from one of my recent conversations with my mentee student. The student is a girl who just finished 10th grade and wanting to take a career guidance. Somehow the father and know me in the professional network, and he got hold of me and engaged me in career guidance with his daughter. Now, as usual, we have done some assessments before we get into the conversations, and then eventually the conversations landed, or the recommendations reached to a point where it could be to do with the biology-based careers based on the interest, ability, and so on and so forth of the child, and of course the personality, preferably non-medicine related, the healthcare and medicine, but not necessarily becoming a doctor and so on. That is how the biology-based careers, I call them. This is how the conversations were going on. Now, in the process, I got to know that in the process, as we began these conversations, I was told that the child has been already put into NEET coaching immediately after finishing 10th grade, before she could even get into 11th grade admission. Because the mother of the child is very, I call them, it's an autocratic, style of parenting. We typically, the tiger mom, kind of parenting style. Nothing doing, just go get this way and you will be all right. That's a type of parenting. Some of us as fathers and mothers, we try to take that path by nature. Now, this mother has conveniently put the child with some authority. You have to get to the NEET coaching and you have to crack medicine NEET exam and then get to the medicine, because this happens to be one of my aspirations as a young girl, which my father couldn't let me fulfill this dream of mine, and I want to see this through you. That's where the parent has influenced or forced, I must say. It is not influence. Influence is, most of the time, it has to be a positive influence. Force, authority is basically cornering the child and then putting into that tough spot. Now, the child is undergoing. Now, after few weeks or few days of coaching, the career guidance discussion has happened with me. Now, the discussion is going on like this, and fortunately, the father of the child was willing to explore what are all the possibilities that the child could pursue when it comes to career, not forcing anything on her like the mother was doing. Now, guess what? If both the parents are too pushy or too forcing the child, now God bless the child, where will the child go to? At least here, it is one half this way, half that way. And that is also dangerous again. One, you're pulling towards one direction, the other, you're pulling to the other direction. Now, each one of the approach has got its own pros and cons, for sure. But nevertheless, the point here is, the child was pushed by the mother, forced by the mother, with that influence to get into the NEET coaching and then pursue medicine as a career. The father was willing to give a free hand to the child to explore, because the child is not too concerned or not too interested in appearing for NEET exam and going through that medicine as a career path, becoming a doctor. Now, this is where the conversations were happening. Now, we discussed about other possibilities based on biology careers. The biology based, you can get into immunology, biotechnology, virology, genetics, biomedicine, paramedicine, allied medicine, forensic science, food science, dairy, agriculture science. There are environmental science. There are various other options. Pharmacy. There are various options that we discussed, the possibilities, and of course the suitability to the child. And believe me, the child was forced too much. The child was cornered too much, that after I bring up any conversation on any career other than the MBBS or the medicine as a path, she had to ask me She stops me and asks me, "Sir, does this career require NEET coaching? Do I have to clear NEET as an exam?" And she repeatedly kept on asking me the same question. Career after career I talked about. Option after option I talked about. That means I could clearly understand, by all means, the child is not interested in pursuing that NEET as a journey, doesn't want to get into crack that NEET and get into medicine, but the mother has forced her to get to that, and she is not willing to think back or look back or give option number 2 to the child. It may work in sometimes, as long as it suits the child, as long as the child is willing to do it, then the problem itself doesn't arise. And luckily, as I said, the father was willing to help the child, liberate the child, and let the child choose on her own. Now it is a tussle between both the parents in one way, and it is a challenge for me as a mentor to convince them and bring them on the same common ground of understanding. And you know what? Another interesting point. Okay, the mother's version. Okay, even if you don't want to do medicine, okay, you will have to take NEET coaching, because that coaching will equip you to deal with any entrance examination. Now look at the convenient reason the mother was giving to the child. And you know what? Her intention, as I figured out, her intention was, you give some breathing time to the child by telling her that, okay, if you don't want to do medicine, which is fine, but continue with NEET coaching. That means down the line 6 months or 3 months, she could go back and brainwash the child and then convince her to pursue medicine as a career. So that the NEET coaching is parallelly happening. Right? That's the approach that the mother has taken up. Then I had to very, very politely, very professionally let her know, ma'am, it may be true for 1 or 2 careers, because NEET is a prerequisite, but not to all the other biology-based, path careers, which NEET is a requirement. Many of them doesn't ask for NEET, so it is not practical requirement. But rather, there may be university level or a college level entrance examination or an eligibility and entry criteria. So that has to be met to let the child pursue any other career. But if you want to know about it, first you got to decide what is that option that you want to choose from the list of careers that we talked. Of course, they ventured into pharmacy as one of the options, and there was another microbiology and a couple of others they were contemplating, and of course psychology was another one. So eventually I have given them information, I have empowered them, I have enabled the child, I have empowered the parents to be aware of the possibilities, be aware of the entry eligibility requirements. Otherwise, imagine what the child has to undergo for 2 years, and eventually that is setting up the child for a failure. Even if by chance, if the child secures good score in NEET and eventually lands in medicine as an undergraduate program, the child may not be a successful doctor. Guess what? What is the fate of those patients? She may be cursing every day out, day in, day out. Why did I get here? And we have been hearing stories of many MBBS students who discontinue that medicine path and choose many other things. My friends, don't be so pushy as a parent. Don't be so authoritative. Don't be so autocratic on your children. But discipline with trust, discipline with liberation is very important, and it's a fine line to walk, and it's easy to preach. It's difficult to follow. I have an 10th grade school going daughter. I'm not saying it as for the sake of saying. I have my fair share of challenges to deal with. When it comes to career conversations or a personal or a social conversations with a growing up child. I can completely understand. I'm completely on your side as a parent. The point is, let us not make that, put them into a spot which they don't like at all as parents. Let us not put our children into those spots. So conflicting interests will lead to negative consequences. Let us be aware of that. If you empower and enable your child to make a right choice, then they will be held responsible for the rest of their life. And of course, as an elder, as a parent, as an expert, we are here to guide them, make sure they don't fall apart, they don't fall prey for any unwanted things. But if you force something on them, throughout the rest of their life, they will come back and always point fingers at you. It is because of you I am like this. You make your choice, my friends. You empower the child to make the decision. So conflicting interest is very dangerous. When you see that conflicting, come as early as possible. Let that not conflict evolve into a serious issue. Come make to terms, at a very early stage. If you say pushy, and nowadays it is very difficult. If you are an authoritative or an autocratic mode of parenting, it is unlikely that it will work on any child. There may be one odd cases. So my friends, the point I'm trying to drive home through this experience or through this episode is, let us not be too pushy, too authoritative, or let us not corner too much our children in fulfilling our own wish list through them. Let us empower them, let us enable them, let us give them liberty with some trust, and of course with discipline, especially those career decisions. Then only things will be happy. We all will be happy as a family. I hope it resonates with you, and thank you so much for listening and watching to these episodes, and I'll come back with another episode sometime soon. Until then, do take care. Thank you.